Listen!
Hello and welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN's Nintendo podcast. This week we will be talking about, of course, Steve in Smash, Steve from Minecraft, if I didn't make that clear, but a whole lot more, like the Tokyo Game Show and, I guess, Super Mario Bros. 35 and a whole lot more. I'm your host, Casey DeFreitas, and this week I am joined by Janet Garcia.
What's up?
Brendan Graeber.
Hey.
And first-time NVCer, Colin Stevens, who is on our social team. Colin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm our social media copy coordinator, I think is like the technical title. I just read a bunch of words on Twitter all day. So if there's ever a typo, it's not my fault, but it almost definitely is.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm very happy to have some of my Wikis friends on here. So
Wikis podcast.
Guys team.
Expect guides callouts. But first, I'm sure we're going to have a guide for this. Brendan, we got Steve from Minecraft and Smash. We just learned about it this morning. What the heck? Did anyone see this coming?
I just want to say, I think Nintendo gave me the perfect birthday present today.
Happy birthday, Brendan!
Thank you.
Yay.
Happy birthday.
They gave me a Smash character. They gave me Mario 35 Battle Royale. And they're also having a Cold Stone ice cream from Mario birthday cake. So I'm set. But yeah, as far as Minecraft is concerned, it may have broken Twitter. We're not really sure about that yet, but it just like there's a flood of what the heck just happened. And seeing Sakurai's face going, so Nintendo came and said, hey, make Minecraft. And I'm like, you think this is easy? You think you could just press a button and Minecraft just happens? I had to put blocks back in every single Smash Brothers stage. Do you have any idea how crazy it's going to be? All right, fine, let's do it. And I love that about Sakurai. Like, he just like, yeah, sure, whatever. He makes it work.
So calm. He's always
I feel
so
like
calm.
he's the developer version of, for lack of a less aggressive term, a hitman. Like, he just kind of is like, look, I'm not here to like flex my choice as a character or yeah, it's not like he doesn't really like have that kind of creative input on it. He's like, I'm told what we want in here, and then I make the thing, and there it is, and I made it, and it's and obviously like he's extremely skilled in what he does, but it's just kind of like I come in, I do the job, and I dip, and no matter what the job is, I get it done, which is like I love how candid and dry his deliveries are for any of these. He's like, yep, so I did it, and now it's there. Check it out, or don't. I'm just making the stuff. Like it's very chill.
But he does it so well, which is like the crazy thing. Like I get that a lot of people are like, upset. Like, where's Sora? Where's Travis? Where's my dream pick? Why is this random blocky character that no one cares about anymore, even though it's still extremely popular?
Yeah.
Why is he in here? The thing is, like, you can say, yeah, he's not your favorite pick, but the way that Sakurai implements characters like this is so over the top. Where it could have been like, oh, like, when you put Terry in, okay, he's a fighter. He fights. Same with Min Min from ARMS. Like, they have these like fighting moves that are pretty easy to adapt. When you get characters like Duck Hunt, when you get characters like Isabelle and Villager, and then when you get characters like, the Minecraft characters, they don't fit in this world. And for him to go like, okay, how am I going to make this character from a creative building sim be a fighter? And then place blocks, detonate TNT, which also, strangely enough, I kind of predicted the moveset a year ago.
Yeah.
Back when there was that whole like rumor going around, like, oh, we're going to get a Eric from Dragon Quest, Doom Guy, Ryu from Ninja Gaiden, and Minecraft Steve. I was asked to make a move list, like a what if move list. And I actually got all of them correct except for his final smash. Placing blocks, the minecart, the TNT, and the I forget the name of the wings. It's the armor set that has the wings. But I call it. I don't know how. It was like, maybe he saw my article. It's like, hey, that's a good idea. If so, you're welcome, Sakurai.
What did you think the final Smash was going to be compared to what it is now?
I thought it was going to be opening a portal to the Nether, where they just like he just crafts a Nether portal and shoves you in, and you just get destroyed by Ender Deep Beast or something. But I like this one. This is a better one with throwing you in a dungeon full of creepers and then letting it explode.
Yeah, and instead of getting destroyed by Enderman, you can be Enderman because that's one of the alternate skins, which is terrifying. No, I mean,
I like the variety of the skins. It's pretty cool.
It is good.
Well, that was one of the best parts of the reveal trailer, in my opinion, was Enderman just like peeking into Snake's like cardboard box.
Literally
Like, it's a weird
yeah.
vibe, but like it was the perfect vibe.
I think they do such a good job with these reveal trailers, really playing up the touchstones that already exist in Smash. Like they always pair it with like the very iconic characters, right? We have like Mario, Luigi. It was really cool seeing Splatoon represented in that too, as kind of like the modern pantheon of like what it means to be a Nintendo fan and who like the modern iconic characters are, which are both like the characters from back in the 80s and 90s to, an IP as new as Splatoon. So that was really nice. And I think the way they showcase that just works really well with like the playfulness of what they're showing off, kind of like what Brendan said with this idea of, okay, these are characters that you can't, even though I guess Brendan was able to predict them, like a lot of people wouldn't be able to predict how that will play out in a way that's going to make sense in the context of a fighting game. And I just think it's so cool that as much as I'm like not, a huge into Smash, like I haven't played in like a really long time. I think it's really wild how this has turned in from a celebration of Nintendo characters to like a celebration of gaming and like what it means to be a gamer. And it has all these like main big cultural touchstones from across gaming, and that not just like stuff that is playable on Nintendo to an extent, but not stuff that you associate immediately with Nintendo. It's just really interesting how it's evolved.
Yeah, and I know you can play Minecraft on just about everything, including Nintendo consoles, but it is technically a Microsoft-owned property, so it's cool to see that we're seeing.
Along with Banjo, that's two Microsoft characters now. Where's Halo?
We're one hair away from Halo showing up.
I mean,
it's weird. It's weird to think, like, because I mean, there's been guns in Smash,
but,
Yeah,
I mean, Snake uses a lot of weapons.
He does. Somehow, Bayonetta's guns feel completely different in my mind than like Master Chief with like a needler or something. Yeah. So it would be weird to see Master Chief in there, but I think it would be. I feel like it's not out of the question anymore at this point.
Nothing's out of the question anymore.
It's almost like Bayonetta's guns are an accessory instead of an actual weapon. But also a weapon. I don't know. But we also got to see some of the Minecraft stage, and it looks like it will differ every time, kind of like the Mario Maker stage. They showed multiple biomes, and creepers explode on the Minecraft stage as what's the word?
Environmental
trying to blank. Environmental effect. that works.
That works.
Obstacle. Gee, Christ. I don't know. I'm here.
Stage bad boy.
I promise.
I wonder if that'll make that like actually like how people will feel about that stage overall. Again, I didn't really dive deep into Smash the way I have with like previous Smash games. Like Melee, I know like super well. Like I'm a Melee stan. Like that is the hill I die on, and I don't mind, even though I'm buried next to some very annoying people. That's okay.
I can tell you the professional standards. They're going to go over the stage, hit Final Destination variant, and then hit play.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like for me, I'm not a huge fan of the environmental effects or hazards that often come with a lot of these stages, just because they feel a little bit too invasive. Now, I'm someone that plays with items on, so like it's already kind of getting wild anyway, and I just feel like that when they add in too much, like I just remember how much like I hate like ice climbers for that reason, or like some of the other stages that are a little bit too invasive. So I'm curious as to like how it'll actually play out when we get our hands on it, and whether or not it'll be like in the rotation of like fun goofy stages, or if it'll just be a little bit annoying.
I stand chaotic stages. Give me more Big Blue.
I want Poke Floats back.
I like Big Blue. I like Poke Floats. I don't like I didn't like the Ice Climber stage. There's a couple other ones that the Pikmin one, the rushing water. The water is so aggressive.
Well, like I think Picross is like one of the ones that's like so unpredictable that it's just like not fun to be in.
Yeah.
But like this one, it gives me the vibe that it's just like there'll be creepers, there'll be some like environmental hazards and stuff.
Like
that was the word I was looking for. A hazard. But yeah, I'm excited to play it. I always like trying out new characters. They are
we're gonna get more details from Sakurai in a couple days on like exactly how he played out. So I'm interested to see
Saturday. I lied.
Exactly. Oh, Saturday 3rd. That's the day.
3rd.
I'm kind of interested to see how he's gonna play the rest of them. Like, is he gonna be like a technical character like the villager who just has a bunch of things he throws out, or will he have like actual smash attacks? Because I don't see all the gameplay just like him like just doing like the generic Minecraft slash. I'm just like, is there a more powerful version, or is that it?
I guess we'll find out during that presentation. It's at 7:30 a.m. PT during the Minecraft Live 2020 stream. So I guess look out for that. And there are still 4 unknown fighter slots left in Fighter Pass 2. I wonder when we'll learn about that. Sometime in the
Probably
future.
next year, early
Yeah.
next year.
I'd say we could get one at like the Game Awards. We might
Oh,
get
yeah.
one at the Game Awards.
That's
Joker
yeah.
was a Game Awards thing too.
So yeah, we'll look out for that. But man, it's crazy. And Steve broke the internet, and we got Minecraft and
Allegedly.
Smash. Which Seth Macy actually predicted this yesterday on our News Games and More show. Just complete accident. It was just the first thing that popped in his head, and it turned out to be true. But yeah, that's about all we have to say about Steve from Minecraft being in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now let's move on to some other news. So last weekend was Tokyo Game Show, and we got to see a ton of Switch information. Of course, most of it was in Japanese, but we did get some translations. And I think the biggest thing out of Tokyo Game Show that Nintendo Switch owners care about is probably Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. We got to see some gameplay of Link in the Battle of Hyrule Field, and to me, it looks like the first stage. It kind of reminded me of the first stage in the original Hyrule Warriors. Did any of you guys play Hyrule Warriors?
It is my one regret. I didn't play it. I think this might be what gets me to get into the Dynasty Warriors games.
Okay.
Because I kind of missed the boat. I had a lot of other guides projects at the time, so like, oh, I'll get to it later.
Unlike now, right?
Later. Don't remind me.
And it's not always for this.
It only comes to Cyberpunk. What could go wrong? I'll have plenty of time to play it.
Yeah, no, that's a constant theme for you, Brendan. I'm sorry.
Just do this guide, and then that's the hack. If you want to play it, just do the guide for it.
That's true.
But unfortunately, it's coming out, the day after Cyberpunk?
2 days after Cyberpunk, yes. And like a couple days after every other launch game for all the new consoles. So plenty of time.
We don't have to.
I'll make time. I want to make time for this.
Well, I know everyone knows that I like Hyrule Warriors. I like Musou games if they're done well, and I thought Hyrule Warriors was done well, so I'm really excited for Age of Calamity. I like co-op games. I like the kind of combat they implemented it, and the fact that some of these Zelda teams assisting with this makes me feel even better about it, because it can only be even better than the original Hyrule Warriors, right? So looking forward to it. But we saw some shield surfing. We saw Link sprinting. There was also no stamina meter, and it looked like the first Hyrule Warriors. There are light and heavy attack combos. There's a special move meter, and bigger enemies can be staggered. But we also saw a lot of Link's Breath of the Wild abilities, and we also saw young Impa revealed as a playable character. And she looks very similar to Paya, which is Impa's granddaughter in Breath of the Wild. And I saw some people on Twitter saying that was lazy because they just wanted to reuse an asset. But they did say in Breath of the Wild that Paya, that Impa's granddaughter, Paya, was a spitting image of Impa in the game.
I think it's a genius move.
Yeah.
At first I was like, oh, they put Paya in. Wait a minute, 100 years doesn't make. Oh, okay.
Exactly. So I think that looks really cool. She moves like a ninja. She creates doubles of herself. I was actually watching the gameplay with my partner, and she did some Naruto hand gestures, and he asked me if all of those are taken from Naruto. But I don't think so. I think that's just the thing. So
just ninja things.
It's just what you do.
Ninja thing. It's ninja things. So
you get kunai, you do some crazy things, the fire explodes. There you go.
Ninja. Done. It's just a ninja thing. But we also saw some footage of the 4 champions. Mipha summoned a wave of water. Rivali had special bow skills. Urbosa wielded bolts of lightning, and Dark can roll around in a ball. Kind of like Majora's Mask, like how you could as a Goron. But yeah, I think this game looks cool. I'm excited for it.
Do you think there's any other secret characters on the horizon that they haven't revealed yet?
There has to be way more characters. I think there are almost 24 playable characters in Hyrule Warriors, the deluxe edition for the Switch. So I assume we'll get at least 12 characters at launch, and then more will roll out with DLC as time goes on. I'm just speculating, but that sounds correct to me. So
I hope Linkle wanders in again, because we need more Linkle.
I would love to get Linkle back. I also think the Gajinka version of Volvagia was interesting. So I'm wondering if we're going to get any, maybe we can play as a Lionel. That'd be cool.
Ooh.
But
Casey, in the original Hyrule Warriors, was Beetle a character that you could play as?
I don't remember. Now I'm going to want to look that up.
I feel like
there's something deep inside of me that like really just wants to play as Beetle and run around and just like throw things out of my giant like just bag and just be over encumbered all the time and tired. Something about Beetle just like resonates with me. It's like my core.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was.
Oh, what if you get to play as Cass? You get an accordion, you just slam people in the head with your accordion.
That would be awesome.
Awesome music.
Summon the colorful little baby.
The baby Rito to just beat up people.
Yeah. just like attack everybody for you. It'd be beautiful.
You guys talking about this does make me wonder if we'll get like Breath of the Wild related things in Smash, because it does feel like Nintendo's doing a very strategic lead up to Breath of the Wild 2. Supposedly they're kind of I think they're setting themselves up to either not have any delays or to have way less delays than they did with the first one, in part because they already know like the scope of what they're doing. It's the same engine, and I feel like they announced it at like very early. Like none of us were really expecting to hear more from, I think, mainline Zelda in the way that we did like so early on at last E3. And then you tie this with the fact that they're doing this Hyrule Warriors game, like that's directly related to Breath of the Wild. Like it feels like that would be a natural addition to kind of that marketing lead up. And obviously there's a lot of characters that people love, and I think this is only going to make people love the world and story of Breath of the Wild even more. Like to me, that's the number one thing I've heard from people with this game, because yeah, like, you know, like on this panel, not a lot of us have played the last one. I think a lot of people were like, oh, I'll just miss this. But here, everyone's sort of like, I want to see what's going on with these characters. I want to know more about this world. And it's sort of this preparation for this next entry. So we'll see. I think that'd be a really cool addition to Smash.
I think any of the 4 champions being added to Smash would be awesome. But then I know people would erupt into arguments about who would have been the better choice, regardless of whichever one is put in. But
unless they add all 4 with one character.
Yep. Looking forward
just
to
one entity. That'd be so weird. Just one entity, different formations.
Their final Smash is just all of the divine beasts just attacking everything at the exact same time in Hyrule Castle.
Cool.
Beautiful.
So that was about all we learned about. Oh, I guess we also learned that if you have Breath of the Wild save data on your Switch, you'll receive a special wooden trading sword. We have more information about that, and it is more exciting than it sounds, but you can read about that on our website. But we also learned some things about Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter Stories 2. And just to get Monster Hunter Stories 2 out of the way, they show, so in the original one, you couldn't really customize your character very much, but in Monster Hunter Stories 2, you can do it. There's a lot to it. You can make your characters look super different, and I'm excited for that. We didn't learn really much else about Monster Hunter Stories 2, but we did get to see a lot of Monster Hunter Rise gameplay. In fact, like almost 40 minutes of it, some of it using the longsword and some using the dual blades. And man, this game looks so cool, guys. Like, I'm so excited for this.
Casey, I would have thought you would have been like a little cool on this. Really? Excited?
Wait, Casey, do you like Monster Hunter? That's a joke. I know you really like Monster Hunter.
No one knows what you're pointing at, Casey. We don't understand what those animals are.
Gestures to all Monster Hunter.
I just got some big-eyed cats behind me. No big deal. But we did learn that there are some Monster Hunter World quality of life improvements that are present, including that there will be no paintballs, and you can move while using items, and wet zones are not consumables. You also won't be using scout flies. I know a lot of this won't mean anything unless you've played World, but you also don't need scout flies to track monsters either. It looks like you send out an owl of sorts, and it kind of like scouts the map for you in the beginning, and then you see where the monsters are, but they are question marks, so you need to go discover them first. But there's a lot more information, and I could go on about it forever, but you can go read the articles about that, because I don't want to take too much time on Monster Hunter for those of you who aren't interested in it. So hopefully that was brief enough for you. But now we're going to talk about something else that I'm interested in, and some other people are interested, hopefully, maybe. And that is Pokemon.
People like Pokemon?
So,
what?
I know. Guys, I'm getting to talk about like all of my favorite series today. I got to talk about Smash, get to talk about Zelda, get to talk Monster Hunter, and Pokemon. I am stoked for this day. But there was a Pokemon Direct this week where they showed off a trailer for the Crown Tundra and all of the things coming with that part 2 of the expansion. It is coming out on October 22nd. All of the legendaries are returning. Cool. Yeah.
Every single one.
All of them. Every single
They're
one.
all
With
here.
Smash, everyone is here, but it's all legendaries right here.
And of course, some will be exclusive to Sword and some will be exclusive to Shield. We got to see Galarian Slowking, and he is creepy as hell. Janet, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, like I'm just pulling it up to remember. Like, yeah, oh gosh. There's so many questions. Like, it's the fact that it's like a shell over the eyes, but then the eyes go through the shell, and it makes me wonder, like, are the eyes on the shell? Are the eyes peeking through the shell? I have to imagine they're on it because he can, it can emote, like have like, a furrowed brow type thing. It's also giving me like these Frieza vibes, like the coloring, the like green circle, like it's kind of a lot. I did Google some pictures of Galarian Slowking, which I urge all of you to do, as you just have to. And it does look happy in the camp. So I'll give it that. It looks very cute when you play with it. It has like a little, nice little contented look. But yeah, I am feeling though I'm saying I'm not the only one that made the Frieza comparison. Comicbook.com also like Frieza vibes. Okay. I like the little cape. It's got like this little like shawl over it. It's very quaint. Yeah, there's just a lot going on here. I do really appreciate though these like additional forms. I always feel like the variations on the Pokemon are interesting, and it's kind of nice because it's building on the familiar while also adding something new. Obviously, there are always people that will whine about the Pokemon designs as either being too weird, or some people aren't a fan of the object Pokemon, or they just feel like they're either too weird or too samey to regular animals. So I think these different variant forms are a nice middle ground where it's like, okay, you already accepted this design, this exists, this is familiar, but it'll be like a little bit of a twist on it. But yeah, it's scary. It's a little scary.
It's the teeth for me.
Yeah.
That like are just sort of hanging off.
Yes.
Anything with teeth is a little bit like just upsetting to me.
They're sort of double teeth too, because there's like teeth in the mouth and then teeth on the shell.
It's weird.
It's a lot.
And if you look at some of the screenshots, you see like, so they're like two horns on the shell, and when he tilts his head, like some green fluid comes out of it. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And they're known to just talk in incantations, and no one knows what that means. It's a poison psychic type. It is creepy, but also I wanted to point out a like competitive battling thing. Its ability is Curious Medicine, which is a brand new ability, and that means so whenever this Pokemon enters the battlefield, all of your ally stat changes are reset, which is really awesome because if you have a Pokemon that got just killed with stat changes and is not doing much damage or has really low defense, you throw out this Slowking and then it's all good again, which is really cool. So yeah, Pokemon. There's even more things as well, including, I guess this isn't really news, but I would like you all to go watch the Pokemon music video called Gotcha by the Japanese band Bump of Chicken.
Dude, they're so good.
It was really good. It was a really, really good music video. The animation is wild. You get to see all of your favorite characters from all of the different generations of Pokemon games. And
great callbacks.
Really good callbacks. And the way they animate the Pikachu and Eevee is adorable. So go watch that if you want to put a smile on your face today. Even if you're not a huge fan of Pokemon, I just recommend it. It's a good time. But also we're going to see the introduction of Dynamax Adventures into the Crown Tundra, which is like a multiplayer. There's not a lot of explanation, but it looks like you pair up with 3 people, go into a cave of sorts and travel together and then fight Dynamax legendary Pokemon. We'll learn more about that more. I'm sure there is other information about it, but trying to just get through it. And we're also going to see the introduction of the Galarian Star Tournament, which is going to be added to the game, which is an end game event. So after you beat the Crown Tundra and etc. And it's going to allow you to battle alongside other trainers from Sword and Shield against other trainers. So it is a double battle tournament, which is really cool. I'm really glad to see that implemented into the game. It should be a good challenge. And now on to some freebies, some freebie stuff. You can actually get a Pikachu wearing Ash Ketchum's original cap right now with the code PikachuGet, except the I in Pikachu is a 1. So you can go put in that mystery gift code and get a Pikachu wearing a hat, and there's more on the way. One more thing from the Pokemon Direct, which I think everyone might be interested in. There will be connectivity with Pokemon Go and Home added before the end of the year. And I know we can already send Pokemon from Let's Go into Pokemon Home, like go to Let's Go to Pokemon Home, but that is a hassle. They're going to introduce the direct connection, but there will be a cooldown period between transfers, and you will have to use Pokecoins to speed that up. Do any of you guys have thoughts on that?
We're going to need another flow chart.
Okay.
There's so many steps. I think, Casey, you probably relate to this to some degree because you and I worked on the Pokemon Home portion of the guide or the guide for Pokemon Home or whatever it was. And it was a lot of steps.
Yep.
It was 2 people, it was you and me, and then also a lot of research and a lot of testing. And even then, it was like, wait, but what's like the clearest way to describe this? I just think whenever something is having a guide's perspective, like whenever it takes a really long time for me to explain something in a guide where I'm trying to be as concise as possible, it just tells me how complicated it is. So yeah, I mean, it's a bummer. I do wish that they made these things a lot more simplistic, especially because I do think Pokemon does a good job and clearly is focusing on trying to be accessible to new players. And for someone that might be in just like the Let's Go era or the Pokemon Go era and jumps into Sword and Shield, having all these extra steps and transferring and and then with Nintendo also, like now that we have Nintendo Online, like there's just so many like subscriptions and ideas and things to make sure you don't let it lapse and all these extra like caveats. Yeah, like I don't really know what the solution is here, but I just feel like it's taken a really long time for this to be. I think we're still a long ways out for this to be something that's relatively easy to use and thus something that more people end up using. Why this isn't just a more simplistic app with like some type of cloud functionality that just kind of automatically does that stuff for me, I am not really sure. I also just think that like they're very protective of the idea of people cheating and things, and I get how that plays a role in the competitive scene, but that doesn't really have a lot to do with like what I think a lot of players are doing, which is just like hanging out and catching Pokemon.
Yep.
So I feel, and then also like I know you, Casey, have talked about how like the competitive scene has its own issues that kind of aren't even involved in this. So I don't know. It seems like this is very complicated, and the payoff is not really worth it.
Yeah, it's a lot. It took us almost, I don't know, 3 hours to transfer over all of our Pokemon into Home, which is a long time, but you know, it's fine. I don't know. Colin, have you used Pokemon Home? What do you think about all of that connectivity?
So I've never really tried to dive into that, mostly because it just like it seems so complicated that like I don't even want to attempt it.
Well, we've got a guide for that.
Well, yeah,
and it is complicated, even with the.
No, you're right, Janet.
No, totally
really like Janet.
You're gonna know when you open the page, but we did our best.
I'm sure you guys did an absolutely incredible job with it. But I mean, my whole thing with Pokemon is like I've never really been the kind of person who tries to like bring their Pokemon with them every game. Like I'm not someone who is like particularly upset at like Dexit, you know? And I totally understand why people were upset. But like I'm not the kind of person who needs to collect all of my Pokemon from the past. So that's never really been a service that like appealed to me. But I really do feel for everyone out there who like really just wants to have, you know, the gang with them. And it just seems like prohibitively complicated as time goes on. It just seems like one more roadblock in front of another until like finally you can get everyone together.
And I'm sure it must be incredibly difficult for the team at Game Freak to figure out how to transfer all of this data. And I'm sort of like you, Colin, in which I'm fine with not having my Pokemon actually in my game with me to play because I want to play with the new Pokemon. But I am also a hoarder, and I want to know that my old Pokemon are safe and hoarded so that if I ever want to look at them again, I can. So I like that there is something attached to your screen name, your Nintendo ID, so that if something happens, you could potentially log in and recover your Pokemon, because just the thought of, you know, your save data being lost. I'm actually, I'm about to move, and I'm going to transfer all of my important Pokemon that are in Sword and Shield into Pokemon Home, because whereas your save data in Sword and Shield isn't recoverable, you can always get it back from Home. So it's the only way to protect them. They got to be home.
You can always go home.
Home is the only safe place. Also, so that should be that connectivity should be here by the end of the year. And once you do transfer Pokemon from Go to Home, you get a Gigantamax Melmetal, which looks really cool. But that is about all of the important information we got from the Nintendo Direct. So now let's talk about some Mario Kart Live home circuit first impressions. So Brendan and Janet, actually, did you get to see some of the Mario Kart Live?
Yes.
How do you put this? Of everything that's happened since the whole quarantine was enacted, and we've seen kind of like virtual previews, this is the one that I really wish I got to be in person for, because seeing someone else play with a Mario Kart thing is not the same as playing it yourself. But we did learn a lot, so there is that caveat about actually how Mario Kart Live Circuit works and what it's supposed to do when it comes out later in October. Basically, it's $100 and you get the either a Mario or a Luigi kart, and there comes with 4 little cardboard gates, 2 arrow signs, and a charger cable. And the way it works is the software is actually free, but you will, when you load the software up, it prompts you to connect to the QR code of the racer cart, and that ties it to your account. So if you want to play with other friends, they needed to get their own cart to play with. They can download the software for free, but they need that $100 Mario or Luigi cart.
And their own Switch.
Yes,
and their own Switch or Switch Lite. Either one works. So it was pretty interesting to see how the whole thing works, because we haven't really seen how everything shifts when you're in that first person view, and the way that the camera on the Mario Kart racer depicts the world. And one of the weird things I found out was that the cardboard gates, you have 4 of them, you can only use 4, and they're how you kind of structure your the layout of your race course that you create. And at first I was like, oh, I wonder if the cardboard gates have like some kind of electronic signal in them, because when you're driving through, you see them like kind of like burst out of the augmented reality, and like you can customize the gates in the game to have like port pipes come out of them, items, hazards.
It sounds so crazy.
It is very crazy. Like
I was there with you, but I'm like, you sound like you're on some other stuff.
I need a tinfoil hat. But the thing is that the gates don't actually have any electronic software. They have symbols that the camera reads and then augments the reality, which to me is just wild. And as you play these races, you unlock more customization, both for your cart to see in the camera when you're playing the game, as well as customizations for the environment effects that can happen in the race course, how the gates can look and act, and other stage hazards that you can then set into motion. So you can actually play, and while you're just looking at your cart driving around, you look at the screen and you're underwater, and there are like underwater effects or cheeps floating by. And the way that kind of works is it gives a weird new variety to this game that you can't get in Mario Kart 8. So it has that going for it, but it's also like the weirdest game of pretend that I've seen so far.
And probably the most expensive.
Yes.
Yes.
With $100 per, it's quite a setback. And it's also like, if there was ever a time where I wish I was not as old as I am and in a tiny apartment, it was now, because I wish I was still a kid at my parents' house with a nice big living room to have a crazy little set pieces, because I don't know if I can actually have a cart drive around this tiny apartment.
Yeah, I think that's the number one question. Like, how is it going to work in your space? And obviously, everyone watching and listening will have different setups than what we have here. And everyone's, I think no matter how, unless your house is really massive, a lot of us still just fill it with other stuff. Like, even if you have a lot of space, you just put things in that space. They did mention that, so there's different speeds. There's 50cc, 100, 150, and 200cc.
200cc.
200cc. They're like 200cc confirmed, and that was like one of the new pieces of information that we were able to get from this preview event. And one thing they mentioned was like you need a little bit more space on the faster cc, on the higher cc's. So they mentioned even if you have a small space, it can still work for you, but then you might have to be on that 50cc level, and it was basically the differentiation. But I think since it's like a real cart, that might not be as like malignant, because I feel like you have the new challenge of navigating a physical space through like an AR experience. So hopefully that will offset the speed that people might be missing. Because I know a big thing for people that have been playing Mario Kart for a long time, like, I only race on 200, like these really intense Mario Kart players. But hopefully it'll still be fun and challenging in that new way. They also suggest things like adding in very light obstacles. Like, maybe you put some like cups on the side or something. Like, don't put something crazy hazardous, because you will lose points if you knock into a physical object like in the race, to sort of like help add, I guess, that layer of challenge. But yeah, and you also have to use all 4 of the gates, so you can't have like a 2-gate one. You have to use all 4 all the time, and 4 is the max you can use. And yeah, I thought it was interesting. I also thought it was I was very surprised to hear that you can drift in this game.
Yeah, you can drift on a racer cart. That's so weird.
Yeah, because I mean, the cart doesn't really it doesn't go like this crazy tight turn with the dust coming off the wheels or anything. But in the game, like, you still do see that visual effect. So I'll be interested to see how that ends up playing out, because we all know drifting is like the other like big thing on what makes like your Mario Kart racing experience different, especially for those players that have more experience playing the game. And essentially the progression is just through customization, which I think is pretty akin to how especially Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was. There wasn't a whole lot of unlockable stuff. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, everything was unlocked at the jump, and you just had like different tires and carts. Here you also have costumes. They seem very heavily themed to Mario Kart lore, like Mario lore. So there was like a Mario Maker costume, and like you could be in what is it, like a construction truck? What is the name for that? The little thing that pushes a bulldozer, right?
I don't think I've ever seen that in a Mario game, to be honest.
Yeah. So they had like cute little things like that. And they, they spent a lot of time displaying how your in-game experience is reflected in the real world and vice versa. So if you get hit with a shell in the game, like the car will stop, and they showed kind of a 1-to-1 where they're like, here's the in-game gameplay, and here's what you're seeing in real life and how they're sort of mirrored. But yeah, like it got pretty wild towards, it seems like as you unlock those extra gate customizations where you can add in the effects Brendan was talking about, that's when it really starts to look wild. Like the kind of intro stuff looked very like safe. And then when they got deeper into the levels, like it just visually looked like just really fantastical. And that's what was most appealing to me. I did already pre-order this because like, it's Mario's 35th. You got to go all out for Mario's 35th. Like, this is like an iconic moment in all of our lives. Like,
Jana,
come on.
Are your roommates going to be cool with just clearing out the living room so you can play your Mario Kart game?
The challenge with this is I have actually a pretty sizable living room, but we've now added more furniture. Short answer,
obstacles.
Yes.
Obstacles.
Long answer, I mean, I don't think I could just leave it for a long time, and I don't know how I'm going to deal with my cat.
Obstacles.
So
ultimate
hazards.
like, I'm not really sure what's going to happen with me and this cat. I will update y'all on how Bruce reacts to the Mario Kart thing. I'm tempted to buy a second one just because I really want to play with someone else. I hate that it's like $100 to essentially have a multiplayer experience, like an extra 100 on top of 100. Because for me, like Mario Kart's fun when I play with not the computer.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's good to mention that there will be 4 other AI, the Koopalings, that race alongside you in Grand Prix, and you can have up to 4 people play with you at the same time, and the 5th would be the AI. So it's a max of 5 people per race.
Mm-hmm.
Also, speaking of hazards and obstacles, we did ask, so when can we take this outside? And Nintendo was like, you should not take it outside. They strongly recommended that you don't. And then I said, well, what about ramps? And they said, don't do ramps.
No ramps.
And then Brandon said, what about like a patio that's bare? And they're like, don't take it outside. and then when it was over, Brandon's like, so we're taking this thing outside, right?
It's like a gremlin scenario. Like the second you take it outside, it like morphs into something horrifying.
More like an eagle comes and grabs it and then just takes your cart away. But I'm sure this is their liability concern of, we don't want you to race Mario outside and have a car destroy Mario when you race it in the street.
Or like water damage or anything.
Anything like that.
I'm trying to think of a high risk obstacle.
Oh, I could do plenty of high risk obstacles outside.
No, but inside,
Ring of Fire.
to really like really push it to home. Like, you cannot run into these obstacles because then there will be real life consequences. Like,
I feel like this is giving people bad ideas. I'm thinking like candles. like a row of candles.
I'm just
Like,
saying,
like an urn of like family ashes, like on the edge, just like you can't hit it.
Oh no!
It's got
That's the ultimate like stay
Just,
away.
Open liquor bottles. There's gotta be some crazy drinking games you can make with this. Like, I'm so sorry. I know this is like a all ages show. Don't drink if you're underage. It's wrong. It's illegal, and you'll go to jail. But you'll not have to go or collect $200. But there's got to be. I mean, Mario Kart has a long history of being a drinking game, and I just feel like this is opening up. Yes, this is opening up a whole nother layer of what could be going on here.
Now I feel like I have to buy multiple so I can, when we can go over to people's houses, we can have a full-on drinking game of Mario Kart.
I'm going to be honest. I think I'll wait. I think I will wait to see that I can feasibly use this in a somewhat fun way in my apartment. But once that's done, I think I will go out and buy another one. Hopefully they're not too scarce, because I did pre-order the one I'm getting now, but I don't know if when I go to pick it up at Walmart, if they're like, glad you pre-ordered because there's none left. So hopefully it is decently available. Because if I do like it enough, I would like to, I already spent the $100, so I don't notice it as much. I feel like that's like a very janky math thing to rationale. But yeah, it just seems like a really unique and cool experience. Mark Medina did the preview for us and kind of made some comparisons to that Labo vibe in the creativity and in the use of the cardboard. I do think, even though I don't spend too much time with Labo, I think this has a lot more potential, just in that, once again, it's grounded in the familiar and in a formula that we do know works and is enjoyable. And I think kart racing, like in real life, like with Hot Wheels or other types of toys, is a very like familiar experience for a lot of people. Like, it's something you may have done in your childhood. So whether you're an adult who's buying $100 cart or a parent playing with a child, like, I think there's something really cool about that. And I do think, to Nintendo's credit, $100 is a lot, but I remember when I was a kid, my brother had one of those remote control like trucks, and those can get rather expensive as well. So I do think that it's not a totally off base price point. It just really sucks that to have a multiplayer experience, there's no way to get that discounted at all.
It reminded me a lot of those old toy commercials where it's like you got the Batman action figure and you shoots Joker through like the pile of cups, or like the destructible environments. You're like, I'm never going to do that with my toys because I don't have this stuff lying around. But like this, I would actually create like obstacle hazards to crash through, because it actually like translates into the actual game you're playing, where they become an actual hazard that has an effect on the race. And like, if I knock over a bunch of like, bottles, that they are then a hazard for the person driving behind me. Like, that's something that you can't do with other make pretend. Like, as long as you're making up these rules and people follow them, you get some pretty fun times.
Sure.
So those were some pseudo hands-on impressions of Mario Kart Live. Virtual hands-on. Gosh.
Virtual hands watching.
Virtual hands off. I think Brandon Tyrell said it best when I wish I had the quote pulled up, but he said, "Would you like the once in a lifetime opportunity to virtually race a physical racer virtually?" And I was like, I said yes so fast. I was like, let's go. But that's what it was.
But you can read more about that in Mark Medina's full preview, which is up right now. And this is actually the reason why we held this episode, because of embargo reasons, but I thought we should talk about it. But there's more. So I don't know if everyone saw the article go up by our very own Zach Ryan about what Nintendo's E3 Direct could have been. And there are a lot of things that happened this year that were announced. So we assume that Paper Mario, the Origami King, we assume that new Pokemon Snap, we assume that Min Min coming to Smash, and Animal Crossing updates, Shin Megami Tensei, and Monster Hunter news all would have been in the E3 Direct, along with some other things like maybe Pikmin Deluxe and obviously Mario's 35th anniversary. My question is, would this have satisfied you? I mean, it would have satisfied me. It's got Monster Hunter and Pokemon Snap. Like, I have nothing else to ask for. I'm good. And Rune Factory 5. I would have been fine. But what about you, Colin? Would you have been satisfied with this Nintendo Direct?
I think if this were like a theoretical Nintendo voice chat, like an hour after the E3 Nintendo Direct theoretical 2020, I think this would have been like a strong B-.
Okay.
Like if you just sort of put everything together, I think there's like one big thing missing from it. We have no idea what that would be theoretically, but it feels like there should be like one more big first party announcement that we just didn't get this year, Well, and that's the thing is part of me wonders, like, could it be Breath of the Wild 2? Because when they announced Age of Calamity, is that the name of it? I already forgot. My brain is dead. Hyrule Warriors, the new one.
Yeah, it is.
There we go. There we go.
You got it.
I'd be second guessing myself too. I was like,
they kind of prefaced it with saying just like, hey, we're not quite ready to show you stuff. And part of me is like, okay, are they just saying that to sort of get this marketing beat, or is that the truth, that they just really don't want to show anything off of the sequel to Breath of the Wild yet? You know, is it ready to show off yet? And if I had to guess, I'd say that they probably wouldn't have shown Breath of the Wild, because I do think that there is still a little bit more development time the game needs, and they really do want to sort of give Age of Calamity its own like moment. But I really don't know what the big thing would be. You know, I don't think that they would have a brand new Mario game, because I think they'd be focusing on the 35th anniversary, you know, 3D All-Stars and all that stuff. So the only answer is Mother 4. They would have announced Mother 4.
That would have been it. Brendan, what about you? What would you have scored this?
It's hard to say, because hypothetically, if they had an E3, would there still be a quarantine happening? Like, would we have been to a physical E3? Because
Sure.
I think, for some of it, for me, half of the E3 showcase is also the booth, and I feel like we missed out on a really cool booth this year that probably would have been like Mario 35 themed. And
Live orchestra, I heard.
It would have had that Cold Stone cake.
Yeah, the Cold Stone cake and that orchestra. I'm a sucker for orchestras, for game stuff. So like, it would have been really cool to see. And I do feel like that I feel like Nintendo, more than other companies, has probably been really hamstrung by working from home. So there is a distinct possibility that Breath of the Wild 2 might have been on track for a December release. We may never know. And for them to have said at E3, hey, we don't have time for Breath of the Wild 2 yet. It's taking longer than we could have, but here's Age of Calamity instead. I think would have been a nice trade-off of like, okay, now I know. But not hearing anything for months and then just getting a surprise announcement at Age of Calamity was very weird. But yeah, I agree to Colin that I think it's probably like in the B range, or there's something bigger that I would have liked to have been surprised by, but there's a lot of smaller things that kind of add up to make this a very interesting showcase.
Janet, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think this would have been a showcase of jabs that just never got the right hook. I think without something modern, like a real new thing, because like Pokemon Snap 2 or new Pokemon Snap, or however they're kind of couching it, I guess that is new to their credit. It's not a remake, but it just feels like it's, pulling on nostalgia strings that might not even amount to anything. Like, I'm very excited about that game and I love Pokemon Snap, but that's not enough of a heavy hitter, because at the end of the day, Pokemon Snap is still a side series to a mainline thing. It's the same way that Paper Mario is not really going to be exciting because it's a side thing. And also it's because Paper Mario hasn't been good in like a really long time. And even this one, which people say pretty good, it's not like, it doesn't have the cachet that franchise once had. Like, it's just kind of, it is what it is. So yeah, it doesn't have that heavy hitter. So for me, I'd probably give it I think I'd have to give it a B+. I think admittedly, I would have been so swooned by the 35th anniversary stuff, because the rumor for the 3D All-Stars thing was brewing for a long time. It's something everyone wanted. I think that would have been like, if they took even just like part of what they did for that direct and that celebration, like that was such a well put together presentation. It had so many things. It was celebrating. It threw in like the battle royale thing. It threw in the pins that they screwed me over on. That's fine. I'm not bitter. Threw in the Splatoon thing. Like, I think all of those just felt so exciting. Like, at that moment, it felt like such a great time to be a Mario fan. But I think without like that shiny new thing, a new Mario, even if it wasn't like a new Mario game coming out, like a teaser for that, without something like that, it wouldn't be enough to bring it to an A for me, but it would have been very solid. And I think it would have been accurately reflective of the year that Nintendo had, which is a year that had some really awesome things. Like Animal Crossing is a huge feat for Nintendo, and I absolutely adore that game. I play it still very regularly. I love it. But they didn't really have like that big deal thing. There wasn't an Odyssey. There wasn't a Breath of the Wild. There wasn't like a Smash. Like, they didn't, like, their heavy hitters weren't really on display in the same way this year, but they had a lot of good moments and things to be excited about, which I think basically would have been what this direct would have been like.
So now that you've heard our opinions about what the hypothetical Nintendo E3 Direct could have been, we called out and asked for yours. And if you haven't heard about this, these are Yappas, which is a video commenting tool at the bottom of every IGN article. And a few of you left some opinions about what the hypothetical Nintendo E3 Direct could have been. So let's hear from one of you first.
Hi, NVC. Eve here from Melbourne, Australia. To answer the question, I think no. I actually don't think I would have been that excited after an E3 with the games that have so far been revealed. The games are good, don't get me wrong, but usually Nintendo has like a hero game for E3 and a theme, whether it's Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Luigi's Mansion. But this year, I think that was missing, apart from Animal Crossing that came out before E3. So I don't know if there would have been the same excitement as there have been in previous years, at least during the Switch's life cycle.
Yeah, I think overall, a lot of you echoed the same sentiment of Janet, Brendan, and Colin, but we do have another yap for you, and this one is from Francis.
See, Francis here. I think overall I probably would have enjoyed the Direct, but I probably still feel something was lacking and be a bit disappointed. There's a lot of emphasis on old games and ports, which I'm not really interested in. I never go back to revisit games I've already played. Ever, EA bringing 7 games, most of them are last-gen games that I've already played. I'm not an Animal Crossing fan, so the updates mean nothing to me. But, nice to see Pokemon DLC, nice to see Age of Calamity, new Paper Mario. So there are definitely some things that would have excited me. But overall, probably would have felt it needed something more.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. But we do have one positive comment. So let's see what he has to say.
What's good, Nintendo voice chat? Christopher Trindade back again at Trindabago on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. Short answer, yes. Yes, I would have been satisfied. None of these games are a Metroid Prime 4 or a Breath of the Wild 2, but the sum of its parts, new Paper Mario, new Hyrule Warriors, new Monster Hunter, all the SNES classics, all of the ports, all of the indie games, all of the Mario announcements, and you have a lot of this happening this summer. And plus you top it off with new Pokemon Snap coming, and then 3D All-Stars, which for all of its flaws was still a guaranteed buy for like every Nintendo fan, begrudgingly or not. Yeah, I would have been happy. Still waiting on Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah. Yep. Still waiting on Metroid Prime 4.
That's right, we all.
Still waiting on those bigger games. But hey, thank you all so much for submitting your yaps. Look for those call outs on the NVC podcast forums, on Facebook, and on articles on IGN.com. If you ever see a headline that says, "What do you think? We want your answers," it's a call out for these types of things. So look out for that. And as you could tell, this was a very packed show and we filled it full of bigger news items. But I did want to skip out onto out this week. And I think probably the biggest thing out this week is Super Mario Bros. 35, which is a battle royale Mario. It is out now. Janet, I saw you post some tips already.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about my number 2 place that I got this morning. I screamed so loud. always top 2, but not 1. It's rough. But I think it's pretty enjoyable. At first, I'm like, it does definitely follows the classic Tetris 99 thing where they're like, "Oh, you want us to tell you something about this game?" No, you just got to play it and figure it out. But I did put up some tips on what I picked up from my times of doing a couple of runs of them. And I enjoyed overall. I do have fun with it. I have to admit, it's a kind of an odd premise, and I think it doesn't translate as well to the Battle Royale formula as Tetris did. I think the brilliance of Tetris 99 was, at its core, it's still fundamentally a Tetris game that implements a lot of the same strategies that if you are a seasoned Tetris player, you will be right at home in implementing those strategies and find yourself victorious as a result. In Mario 35, it's a lot more... It's just odd. Like it does involve Mario skills, like being able to platform and kill enemies, and that's essentially what a straightforward 2D Mario is. But it feels like a lot more like a I don't power-uppy and shootery in a weird way. Like I found myself just getting the fire flower and just beaming my way through. Like I didn't end up doing a lot of, attacking enemies in a traditional sense. It was literally like get the fire power up as fast as you can. Try not to lose it. The end, and you kind of just, and as you kill enemies, they go to your enemy screen. So like you want to kill enemies, get coins. You can use those coins to purchase power-ups in the level as like a random drop or before you enter a run, which I really recommend you get one before you enter a run. Obviously, if you're a very skilled player, you might be able to, I'm just going to get it my own naturally and save the coins, which is totally fair. And if you're more skilled, that's probably what you should be doing. But anyone that wants to kind of start off with an edge, getting the fire flower right away, or at least the mushroom so you can get the fire flower next. But then you just kind of end up beaming through the levels. I do like that you can go through, I think, up to 35 of them, hence Mario 35, and you sort of unlock them over time and can kind of pick where you start. There's even like a practice area where you can just run through levels. And I think the nice thing about this is it does benefit you if you're someone that like knows these levels really well or gets to know them very well because you know where like the power-ups are and how to strategize that. It was kind of fun being like, we're playing 1-1 again, but this time it's different. And the other thing that stuck out to me was the controls feel a little weird because you use the directional buttons to move and you jump with like B, but you can remap those also and change it to the joystick and A if you want something more traditional. So overall, it wasn't love at first sight the way it was with Tetris 99, but after going through a run, I did find myself getting that same feeling of anxiety and anticipation that you get with Battle Royale games. And as, gut-wrenching as that is, I did find that fun and enjoyable. And I think it's a little bit easier compared to other Battle Royale games because it doesn't get as crazy as Tetris does, because even though there's more enemies on screen, like a Goomba's still a Goomba. Like you can only do so much to hurt me. Like it's not like you're, with Tetris, you get overwhelmed by like you're kind of playing and then more stuff's getting stacked on you. It doesn't really have the same effect in Mario. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. I am disappointed that it is a limited time thing and you do need Nintendo Online to play it, as you did with Tetris 99. But I definitely recommend people check it out because it's just like a fun little twist on what Mario is. And it's like nice to have, an extra thing during the anniversary. And it's a cool display of the way Nintendo is using their online system to just do something different. We're not seeing any other of the competitors do this whole like a game exclusive to a subscription service. Is it a good thing to do? I'm not really sure, but like it keeps things fresh and interesting. And I appreciate that element of it.
It's definitely interesting. And I found like one of the cooler things is like the way you can remix enemies sent to another person. At one point, I was going to the water levels just to send the squids at other people who were in like, a regular level. And also they had to deal with floating enemies, cheeps, and like a Bowser on the screen all at once. That can actually like mess up a lot of people who are looking for Goombas. And they're like, okay, how do I deal with all these things and actually survive? And I feel like your main enemy is the enemies, but your second enemy is the time. Because if you start to plan and stop, you run out of time. And that's the other killer in this run. So it's a pretty fun diversion. I don't know how long it's going to be fun for, but I've had fun so far. I haven't won either.
Colin, have you gotten a chance to check it out?
I meant to download and start playing it this morning, and then the first thing that happened was a trailer for Borat 2 dropped, so I had to like deal with that, get it on Twitter and stuff. But it's the same chaotic energy, I think, as Borat 2. I have no idea. I'm gonna download it as soon as this ends, but it sounds like the real strategy is just create havoc and like keep your head above water as much as possible. And I'm excited for it.
And just for reference, we are recording this on a Thursday morning because we got the Smash announcement on Thursday morning. Also, we wanted to push this later because of the Mario Kart circuit embargo and small, I guess, kind of a big announcement, but Nintendo Voice Chat going forward will be recording on Thursdays instead of Wednesdays, so we don't have to scramble to record after Nintendo's early morning Thursday announcements. So we're still figuring out whether we will be posting that on Thursday still or on Friday mornings, but we'll let you know soon. But if it comes out late next week, that's why. So look out for that. And with that, unfortunately, really is all of the time that we have left. We will do an extra long question block next week with some of your questions from this week. So please look forward to that. And Nintendo Voice Chat is out. I guess I just said it's going to change. So I don't know. Right now it comes out on Thursdays, may change in the future. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Colin, Brendan, and Janet, thank you so much for being here. And remember, Nintendo Voice Chat is the only place you can
Get the thing.
The thing.
Get it.